So, you want to learn how to throw a proper punch. Whether that be because you get bullied at school, your siblings pissing you off, or you just want to learn how to do it. I'm going to try and show you how to throw a proper, simple punch. No fancy stuff, just a simple punch, you know, a simple jab and a simple right. That's what I'm going to be trying to teach you today. Keep in mind, I'm not no professional fighter. Still know a thing or two about boxing, guys. I'm showing you two demonstrations, one with gloves and one without gloves. So first one, I'm going to be showing you how to throw a jab, and this a pretty simple punch. So you want to keep your, actually, this kind of depends on, you know, on whether you're planning on a street fight or a boxing match, whether you're planning on wearing gloves or just like going bare fists. If you're gonna wear gloves, I recommend, you know, keeping your hand open and just closing it on the point of impact, because whenever you're all tensed up, it's a little bit slower. This is me tensed up. This is me not tensed up. My hand is open. It's loose. Now that might not seem like a big difference in speed, but there's even the tiniest difference of speed can mean getting hit in the face and hitting someone in the face. So you want to make sure you're trying to throw it fast, you know, just a fast jab. Throwing this punch, you want to make sure that your hands are up. You don't want them to be low. You want your hands to be down here. You don't want them to be up here. You want your hands to be right here, so that if worse comes to worse, you could block your body, you could block your head, body, okay? So you want to pretty much keep your hands up right here. That's what you want. So you want to throw it like from this position, always making sure that your hands are up here, pretty much resting on the rib cage. Alright, whenever you throw the punch, you want to throw it like a whip, kind of. It's kind of like momentum, you know? Your hand is where all the momentum is coming out of, you know? Because your whole body, it's like a whip, pretty much. All right, so you know how at the base of the whip it's thick, at the tip of the whip it's, you know, small, it thins out. You're kind of like a whip in a way. You just want to make sure that, you know, you're using your momentum, your body, your hips, you know, all of that stuff. You know, you want to make sure you're using your body in the punch. You don't just want to be throwing a punch with just your arm, you know, not using your body. Here's the difference between a punch using your arm and hand and the difference between using your actual body weight and, you know, using your whole body in the punch, pretty much. Because even from your feet to your chest, you know, your whole body is being used when you're throwing a punch. Your feet are being used more than you think. You know, your butt, you know, your thighs, all this stuff is being used in the punch. You want to be constantly thinking about this stuff, you know? You want to be trying to use your body in your punches. So look, here's the difference between the jab with, you know, hand. Here's the difference of a jab with the whole body. You want to be twisting your body in a way. Like imagine you're throwing. It's kind of like, you know, twisting your body, using your legs, using your hips, using your back. You use all your muscles pretty much. Okay, it's not just a, you know, simple. Well, it's pretty simple. I don't mean to overcomplicate it, but it's not too crazy hard. All right, just be conscious. Just be conscious of how your body is moving with the punch. No, it doesn't look as good. There's not as much force being put out whenever you just use your arm. Now, for your right, you could generate a lot more power using your right. You see, your jab, you can't, like, you can still throw a powerful jab, but it's not going to be as strong as your right, all right? Because with your right, you could really use a lot more of your body weight. You see, because it's starting from down here all the way up to your right hand. I forgot to mention, you do not want your stance to be too wide. I don't know if you can see it really from right here. You want your feet to be a good amount apart. You don't want it to be too wide right here. And you don't want it to be too thin right here. You want it to be a good part in the middle. That way, you know, you could be nice and firm. You know, you're not all flimsy, because when you're too wide, you can't really move. It's not as good, pretty much. Left-handed, right foot forward, left foot back. All right. So whichever hand is your dominant is going to be in the rear, in the back. My right hand is, I'm right hand dominant, so I'm going to be like this. My left foot forward, right foot back. That's how I'm going to look. Now back to your right hand, your right straight. You want to make sure that you're using more of your body weight in this punch. This punch, it's coming from your rear. Right here, you could generate a lot more power than you can from right here, you know? Although both punches are incredibly useful, they could make a lot of openings, but although this is like more powerful, it's a little bit more risky. I'm not saying any punch is zero risk of getting hit back. Like, of course, whenever you throw a punch, you're risking getting hit because you're not guarding, you know? Throw this, that comes back a lot quicker than this. You see how much more I'm out, you know? I can show this in a demonstration, you know? That can come back quick. You know, that's out a little bit longer, especially if you miss the punch. If I miss the punch, you know, pretty much it's a little bit more risky, but you should be all right. So when throwing your right, you want to use a lot more of like a this motion, twisting your body, using your legs, you know. Imagine it kind of like throwing a ball. Imagine you're throwing a tennis ball or a baseball or whatever you want to imagine throwing. A football, it doesn't matter. You're using the same like twisting motion, you know. Throw a ball like that, throw a ball like that. It's kind of like the same thing, punching. So yeah, it's both are pretty simple punches. They aren't nothing crazy, you know. You just have to be mindful of, am I using my legs enough? Am I using my torso enough? Am I using my arms enough? Am I using my back enough? You want to just try and use all of your muscles when using this, because whenever you throw a punch, you're using all of your muscles, you know. Here. My legs are getting used, my back is getting used, my torso is getting used, the way I twist, or my hips, or whatever the fuck, getting used, my arms getting used, everything's getting used. And you always want to make sure you're keeping your hands up, because if your hands fall down when you're punching, like this is some karate shit. Not saying karate isn't bad. I've seen some clips, some of them are cold as f***, like beat me up, but you just want to make sure that your hands are up, okay? Because if they come back with a hook or overhand, whatever, you could block that, okay? Now imagine in my hands right here, when I throw a punch, boom, I'm gonna get totally fucked. Imagine my hands right here, boom, it's a lot quicker, you know. Here's a proper punch with gloves. It's pretty much the same thing, except for this, your hands might get a little bit more tired because, of course, these are weighing your hands down depending on the ounces. You know, these are 16 ounce, so your typical sparring gloves. So it's a little bit heavier, but you should be all right. But it's pretty much the same principles. Keep your hand open and close it on impact. That was the jab. Now let me show you the right hand. Now you could obviously see the difference in power in that. You know, this is my max power jab. And this is my max power right hand. And not only that, but you could also notice that I could throw the jab a lot more freely, you know? I could throw the jab all I want. you know? I could throw the jab. You see that's quick? It's not a full power jab, but it's quick. I could return it quickly. And that could create openings for me. Let's say I throw to the head, that raises their guard, and I go to the body. That is going to land because their guard is all the way up here, while I'm going to the bottom. You see? So it's pretty much, you just have to know what to use in the right occasion. Disclaimer, try not to get in fights because there is a chance you could break your hands, you know? Especially if it's, well, sparring is different. You have hand wraps, you have, you know, the big gloves. Your hands will be all right as long as you're taking the proper precautions. It is very risky to fight without gloves or hand wraps. It's like that caves in, it's brittle. It's brittle, man. I won't even lie. So, you know, just make sure that you try and avoid fights as much as you can. I'm not showing you this video to promote a fight because you shouldn't be fighting. But if someone puts their hands on you, you know, you have to defend yourself. Let me know if this video helped you. I am not a pro boxer. Had like 2 amateur fights and that's about it. So take my advice with a grain of salt. Hope this video was like a little entertaining at least. See y'all guys later. Boom.